My name is Chisom, and I'm going to be the moderator for today. So get used to see my face and hearing my voice. Okay, thank you for joining. Adora, I can see that. Thank you. Thank you for joining in. So this is a webinar hosted by Vinicom Solutions Limited. So, and is actually from the educational arm of this company, which is the Vinicom Tech Hub. We actually started doing this for tech beginners to help walk them through to understand some of the challenges that they are facing for them to be able to tackle some of them. So, and we bring expert persons on the call to be able to share on their work. So, okay, as I was saying, this is this was hosted is hosted by Vinicom Solutions Limited, and the training arm of this, which is Vinicom Tech Hub, and we run aside being a tech company where we build softwares and products that help solve problems in our society. We also offer trainings, technical trainings for people as well. So trainings ranging from front-end, back-end, web development, product design, and data science as well. Sorry about that. So, and okay, we have a community because we believe in community and how it helps people in their career. Community is a place that you come to, and if you are having any challenge in what you're building on your learning journey, or you don't even know where to start, so community is the best place to come and actually talk and express yourself. So we have a community. So if you are on this call and you don't know about this community and you like to join us on Slack, yes, so you can go ahead. During the session, I'm going to be sharing some of the links to our social media pages and then to join this community as well. So you can be able to join in, and then you can share your wealth of experience and learn from others. So it's actually very important that when you join communities that you engage in the community. Yes, community is not just about taking, it also involves you giving. So sometimes someone can ask a question. We are not all in the same level professionally and knowledge base. So someone can ask a question and it's something that you know very well. You can offer an answer to that question. You don't have to wait for the community manager to be able to do that. So I'll be sharing the link to our communities on Slack so that you can join in. If you are not conversant with Slack, once you join, you can turn on the notification so that whenever a message is sent on there, you will be able to hear what we want to say there. So yes, like I emphasized, engagement is very, very important in the community. So in the same vein, I'd like to know where you're joining us from. So if you can unmute, it's fine. You can raise a hand and I'll call you to unmute. But if not, you can just drop on the chat box. Let's know where you're joining us from. Okay, currently I'm joining in from Lagos, Ikeja precisely. So that's that. So if you can tell us where you're joining in from, or you drop a message on the chat box, that would really be well appreciated. This is meant to be an interactive session, so I'm not going to be doing all the talking as we go on. And of course, our speaker is here. He's here and waiting. So I'm anticipating your messages, or if you want to talk, can unmute and tell us your name and where you are joining us from. I would appreciate that. So let's go. We have Adewumi, we have Sheriff, we have Emmanuel, we have Samuel Chijioke. That's an Igbo guy. Okay. Let's hear you. My eyes are on the chat box, so I'd also see that to be sending a message. As we are waiting for them to send in their response, and we'll have to move on now. So we are going to call our speaker to actually take over So like I said, I'll be sharing some of our social media handles as the call is going on, so you can easily like follow us and the rest of it. So also we have there's a product we recently launched, and we'll be sharing the social media platform links to join. We are launching it very soon, so we'd like you to connect with us so that once we are fully in the market, you can learn more about this product, how you can use it, and how it will benefit you and your loved one. So, okay, that is that. So the product name is Vinit Pay, and it's a voucher processing payment application. So I will share it shortly, so you can just follow us up, and then once we start putting our stuffs out there, you get to learn more how you can utilize Vinit Pay for your day-to-day activities. Also, Emmanuel, I'm seeing you are joining in from Ogun State. Ogun State seems to be topping the charts. Wow, nice. Nice to have you here, Emmanuel. Okay, Samuel and Khalid, we are yet to get a response from you, but we are going to be starting right now. Hi, Mr. Stephen, are you there?
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Stephen. So we are going to start now. Mr. Stephen is a software developer at Vinicom Solutions Limited. If you've not seen excellence and expertise, he is a full representation of that. So he's going to take us on understanding the web, especially for beginners that are trying to make the decision of what field to go for and the rest of it. So when you understand how the web works, then you can know where to come in as a professional as well. Nice to have you on board, Mr. Stephen. Over to you.
Yeah, nice to be here. Okay, let me just go ahead and share my screen here. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this meeting. It's actually going to be a short one, but like she said, we want this to be interactive. And that's why most of the things we're going to be talking about today are things I want you to, when you hear anything about it, I want you to ask questions about it and share ideas too if you have one or two about what we're talking about. So let me just go ahead and share my screen so we can see that. I guess everyone can see my screen now, right? Hello, guys. Can we all see my screen? It seems I can't hear anyone.
Yes, we can see your screen. We can.
All right, great. Okay, so we are basically going to be talking about a very interesting topic that's centered around what most of us do in tech, right? Every time we deal with tech, irrespective of whichever section of tech you're working in, this is something you interact with every day. In fact, thanks to it, we can talk right now. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the web, and today's meeting is going to be centered around just understanding the web. Okay, some of the basic things about the web we need to understand in order to actually work with it. Because if you're someone who is into tech, the web is something you're going to be using a lot, like a whole lot. So because of that, we are going to take quite some time to look at the web and some of the basic things you need to know about it. So we'll be starting off with the basis of how the web works, okay? We're going to try to understand the web, how it works, and we're actually going to be pointing out some facts about the web, okay? There are some misconceptions, some things you're not really sure about. We're going to be looking at it together, all right? So let's start from here. Okay, what does web mean? Okay, what does the word web means? Okay, now basically it's actually a common name for the World Wide Web. Okay, some of you will say the term WWW. Okay, World Wide Web, and it was actually invented by Tim Berners-Lee. Okay, he's actually a scientist. Which country? A British scientist. Yeah, he was actually a British scientist in the year 1989. Okay, he was a British scientist in 1989. Now, one thing about the web was when the web was actually introduced, right? It was originally introduced and developed to meet the demands of automated information sharing between scientists in universities, institutes around the world. So the web was initially developed to enable scientists to talk to each other. Okay, you ask scientists in different parts of the world, they needed a way to talk to each other, a way to share files or publish their work so other scientists could see it. So that was the initial reason, okay, why the web was originally created or conceived, why the idea came. Okay, and in the year as we can see there, 1987, it was invented by Tim Berners-Lee. And again, the web is just a common name for the World Wide Web, okay, WWW. Sometimes it will be quite tedious to be saying that, and that's why we just refer to it as the web. Now, the web is a subset of the internet. Now, this one is a conception we are going to try to clear out together. Some people think the web means internet, and when you talk about the internet, it means the web, okay? It's actually a subset of the internet. The web on its own basically just contains pages or websites, what we normally call websites, okay, that can be accessed by a web browser. Now, an example of a web browser will be your things like your Internet Explorer, your Google Chrome, your Mozilla Firefox, Edge, Safari, and so on and so forth. You see, those things you have on your laptop or your mobile phones, we refer to them as web browsers. For one reason, they can access content or pages or websites on the web. That's the main essence of web browsers. Okay, now there's actually a relationship I want us to first of all talk about. Okay, we just mentioned web browsers now. We say they help us access pages or websites, right, on the web. So where are these pages stored? Where are these websites stored? I mean, if you're going to be accessing something, it has to be somewhere. Well, basically, when a typical developer builds a website, the developer does what we call hosting. We are still going to be talking about some of these terms later. We'll break them down. But basically, what the developer will do is he will host the website on a server somewhere. Okay, the server could be in any country. And then you being the user of that website now, you take your browser, in this case, maybe your laptop, your phone, you open a web browser and you go to www.whateverwebsites.com and it takes you to that website. Now, the job your web browser is doing for you is giving you access to those pages that are stored on the server somewhere. And basically, every time you're on the internet, I tell a lot of my students this, that every time you're on the internet, you are either reading data from the server or you are sending data to the server. Every time you're on the internet, you are always doing one of these things. You're sending data to the internet, reading data from the internet, you're doing one of those things. So typically, you will pick up your laptop and you open your browser and you go to somewhere like maybe www.google.com. What your laptop does, or in this case, the web browser, it's not just your laptop you use. You need to use a web browser. You either need your Internet Explorer, Firefox, Mozilla, Firefox is still Mozilla, sorry, your Edge, Google Chrome, Brave, and so on and so forth. Without those web clients or web browsers, you cannot access content on the web because they've been specifically developed to help you access content on the web. So you pick up your laptop, you open a web browser, you type in there www.google.com. What your laptop or that web browser does is it searches, okay, the internet for a server that tallies with the address you've given. Don't worry, we'll talk about all of that later. Basically, the web browser now will go to the internet and search the internet for a server that matches the address you have given to them. And that's why you see this arrow pointing towards this server. Okay, so it goes to the internet, it searches for a server that matches that. When it finds the server, okay, it tells the server that, okay, well, this person is trying to visit you. What is your response to the person? In this case, The server, depending on what you requested from, whenever you're using your browser, there are a couple of things you can request from. You can request for a web page, something that will look like a normal website. You can request for a video and your video will play. You can request for an image and you get the image. You can request for an audio. So depending on the request you submitted, or in this case, you are not the one submitting the request, your web browser is the one submitting the request now. So your web browser, you, the user, you go to your web browser and you type in something like www.google.com, creates a request for you, sends it to this web server, and then the web server tries to say, okay, is this something I can respond to? Does this match something that I have? If it does, the web server now will send you back what we call a response back to that web client, and then your browser will go ahead and display whatever the server returns. Now, the server can return anything, like I said. It could be a web page, it could be an audio, it could be anything. But equipped, it is developed to handle that request and display it to you. So basically, that's just that browser server relationship you have whenever you're using the internet, okay, or whenever you're using the web, okay? Your laptop, or you use a web browser server, and the server gives you a response back. You see the response and you go back and forth and so on and so forth. Now, with that we have said, right, let's try to point out some facts about the web, okay? We want to look at some facts about the web. I think I've mentioned some of these things before, but we can go over them again. First of all, the web was originally conceived and developed to meet the demands for automated information sharing between scientists and universities and institutes in the world. Well, I think we've said this. It was initially developed to allow scientists to talk to each other, but hey, all of us are using it today. Who cares? The next one is, it is not the same thing as the internet. Okay, this is one misconception I say a lot of people usually have. They think the web is the same thing as the internet. When you mention the web, one thing that comes to their mind is the internet. Well, as the internet. It is what we call a subset. Okay, when you, in statistics, when they say something is a subset of something, it means it is part of it, but it is not the whole thing. Okay, so the web itself is actually a subset of the internet. Okay, the web is basically just, as we have explained in the first slides, if we go back there, okay, is a subset of the internet consisting of pages or websites that can be accessed by a web browser. Now, the internet is far more than that. The internet is more of a global network, okay? A global network of computers or servers that are connected together. Now, some of these servers, as you've heard me say, are those servers that will return the websites when you visit them, okay? So some of these servers are part of what makes up the internet, okay? But one thing I want to point out here is that the web is not exactly the same thing as the internet. The internet is way more bigger than that. And the web is just a subset, okay, of the internet. Another thing is, web pages are documents formatted in a language called hypertext markup language. Now, I told you, if you open your browser now, you go to www.google.com, right? And you go there, you immediately land on what we call a web page or a website or something like that. The truth is, that web page you landed on or that website you just visited, okay, is nothing more than just a document, okay? But this document is what I would like to call a special document because in a language known as HTML. Some of us might have heard of HTML before, hypertext markup language. It is the language that all web browsers understand. So we use this language to arrange our documents so that when your browser visits it, your browser can understand and format or display the web page in the right order. Now, another fact about the web is one of the ways that information is shared over the internet. we've mentioned earlier that the web is not the same thing as the internet, okay? Don't take the web as the internet to be the same thing. But the web is just one of the way that information is shared over the internet. Now, other common ways might include email sending, instant messaging, and file transfer protocols, FTP. Okay, so you see there are a lot of things outside the web. You have file transfer protocols. As the name states, it allows you to transfer files from one server to the other or from one system to the other. Okay, you have instant messaging and you have emailing. These are other ways, okay, that we can share information over the web. Don't forget again, over the internet. Sorry, I made a mistake. I said the web. I'm exchanging them. Okay, so the web is just a subset of the internet. There are other ways, okay, that we can communicate over the internet or share information over the internet. Some of these ways: email sending, instant messaging, and file transfer. Okay, and let's quickly look at building on the web. Okay, let's quickly look at building on the web. Okay, now that we've at least, I know some of the things we've talked about, some of us probably know them before, but now that we've talked about the web, how it came to be, what it's meant for, and things like that, how do we build on the web? How do we build on the web? Now, basically, if you want to build on the web, there are three basic things or technologies you need to know. Okay, three basic things or technologies you need to know. The first there is HTML. I think we've mentioned that guy before. Okay, if you remember, we said it is used to format documents on the web, right? So those web pages you visit, they are always formatted in a language called HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. So HTML, okay, is one of the first technology you need to know if you plan on building on the web, okay? Now, basically, the job of HTML is to structure the web page, right? It creates the structure. Back then when we were in school, some of us, maybe secondary or primary school, no, secondary or maybe junior secondary school then, they'll tell you if they are describing a human body for you, they start from the skeleton and they tell you that skeleton is the bony framework of the body, right? And they will tell us it provides support and rigidity. Well, HTML is the skeleton of a web page. It is basically that technology that provides support, that structure, okay, for the web page. Then after HTML, we have this one we refer to as CSS, which some of us already know again. It stands for Cascading Style Sheet. Now, the job of CSS is to beautify HTML. Just like your skin covers your skeleton and makes you more presentable. Imagine if you are to walk around now and all of us are walking barely with our skeletons. I'm very sure some of us here will not even be in this meeting. Okay, it will be awkward. But then we have the skin to protect, or not to protect in this case, although it protects, but it provides, it beautifies, okay? It complements the skeleton, and that is exactly what CSS does. Okay, CSS complements HTML by styling and formatting it. So we can use CSS to style HTML. We can use it to format it. And it also provides, it enhances the visual presentation of a web page too. So when you are looking at a web page, it doesn't look ugly. Sometimes there are some websites you've probably visited over time, and then immediately you get to the website, you're like, what is this? I mean, it's looking awful. But then there are websites you visit and you are like, wow. Okay? There are websites you visit and you're like, wow, how is this possible? Well, that is CSS for you. The job of HTML is to create the layout. But then you see CSS, its job is to beautify it. Then you have the third most important technology in web development, which is JavaScript. JavaScript, a lot of us know this, okay? JavaScript. Now, basically, JavaScript is a scripting language. Some people will still refer to it as a programming language, but whichever one you go with, you use it to program on the web. Basically, the job of JavaScript is to make the web more interactive, okay? Make it more dynamic, add behavior to it. Let's go back to our human analogy, right? You have your skeleton, which gives you the structure. You have your skin, which beautifies the skeleton or your body. Then as a human being, there's something you do that makes you more interactive. You can move, you can jump, you can talk, you can walk, you can sing, you can sit. All these behaviors that are added to you. If we are building a website, how do we add interactivity to it? How do we make our website more interactive? Today, you visit a web page and you just see something jumping, a box jumping from the left side and it's bouncing. Okay? Or you visit a website, you click on a button, something pops up. How do you achieve that? Well, that's what JavaScript does. So in this case, we can say JavaScript makes web pages a bit more lively. Okay, so it doesn't just look boring. It adds activity to the web page. That is basically the job of JavaScript. And then, yeah, you can see the visual representation of what we just talked about, okay? So you see with HTML, you see how it looks like. This first box here represents HTML. You can see how it looks like. It is boring. I mean, come on, what is that? And then JavaScript comes in. It adds some style to it. We can see colors there. We can see, you can see that these boxes that were initially square, they are now circle, right? And then you have JavaScript coming in and adding, you know, interactivity to it. You see the balls now bouncing and so on and so forth, okay? So this is basically a breakdown of 3 important technologies that are used in the web, Hope you guys are still with me because we are about to start the interactive side of this now. Hello guys, are we still together? Hello everyone. You can unmute and say hi. Let me know you guys are still following.
Hi.
All right, perfect. Okay, so
I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right. We're going to be looking at some common web terminologies, okay, that we use. Now, this is very important, not just to web developers. And that's why this class or this meeting, sorry, was not termed for web developers alone, okay? It was not termed for web developers alone, okay? It is for everybody, okay? It is for everybody. So now we are going to be looking at some of the common terms, right? Some of the common terms that people use. Okay, some of the common terms that people use or developers use in the web industry. When we talk about web development, what are those common terminologies we use? Now, the first one we'll be looking at, okay, the first one we'll be looking at is referred to as the URL. The URLs. Some of us know this already. Uniform Resource Locator. The Uniform Resource Locator. Okay. Now, when you hear somebody say, what is the URL? Or what's the URL of that file? Or send me the URL. What do they mean by URL? Okay. Now, URL, like we said, is fully stands for Uniform Resource Locator. Okay. And it is basically a web address that specifies the location of a resource on the internet. Okay, it is basically a web address that specifies the location of a resource on the internet. Okay, now I'm not going to go deep into what consists of a URL because this class, there are some things we can't really talk about for this meeting because it will become all too somehow boring, but it's actually interesting though. But what I will do is, for those of you that are in the community, I'll be dropping some link to some articles or maybe videos that I think you guys will find helpful. So after the meeting, if you're part of the community, you can go there and then just click on those files to get access to those articles. Now, the URL, like we said, is a web address that specifies the location of a resource on the internet. Let's say, for example, I was browsing the internet, right? Maybe I was on Twitter, and then I find a post that is very funny and I want to send it to my friend. Now, basically what you do, I know a lot of these social networks now have options for you to share or share a tweet. But if you were on your browser, what you will do is you will go to the search bar of your browser. Okay, you will do something like, just a minute, let me move this out of the way so we can use this. I should be able to move this. Yeah. All right. So if you on your browser, for example, this file I'm using with you guys now, it's actually something I'm hosting on the web, right? So I can copy the URL as you see here and then share it with somebody. Now, this thing we have on the web here is what we refer to as a URL. It is an address that specifies the location of a resource on the internet. That is basically what a URL is. It specifies the location of a resource on the internet. Then we have what we refer to as an IP address. Okay, we have what we refer to as an IP address. Now, an IP address is actually a numeric label assigned to devices on the network. Okay, assigned to devices on a network. Now, it is very important to identify and communicate with servers on a network. Now, if we go back to the initial thing we talked about, right, that I said as a user, you pick up your PC, right? You go to a web browser and you visit a URL or a web address, and it goes to a server, and then the server returns what you want back to you. Well, a lot of times, right? A lot of times, this server you are communicating with, okay, has what we call an IP address. In fact, any server that is connected to a network or an internet has a unique IP address. It is with the IP address server. In fact, you see, the server for Google, if you actually go online now and you search for Google IP address, it will give you the address of Google website. And if you visit the IP address, you'll be shocked that it will actually open the web for you. Maybe let's try that out. Let me say, let's do, I think, Facebook IP address. Let's practice this out and see what we get. Where is it? They should give us used to be a common thing, but let's see if we still have it. Okay, yeah, that should be the IP address. So let's try this out. Let's try this out. If that is correct, it should redirect us to Facebook. Okay, still loading. It might take a while, but oh, I don't think that's the correct IP address. I used to have it, but it's been a while I actually visited it. Let's see this one. This might work. Let's give it a minute. If it is correct, I expect it to redirect to Facebook. That is what I expect it to do. Still loading. All right, it's taking time to load. A lot of times it does that. It takes loading. Is it working yet? Well, still taking time. Let's actually come back. We can go back and visit that later. But basically, or maybe I'm not sure this IP address is correct. I'm not sure this IP address I got is actually correct. I think the one I used to have is different from this. If it is not different, I expect it to actually load it up. We'll go back to that later. Let's don't waste our time with that. But basically, every server on a network, right, has a unique IP address, okay? And you can actually visit these servers via their IP address, okay? So like we said, an IP address, let's go back to that slide. An IP address is a numeric label assigned to devices on a network, and it is important for identifying and communicating with servers on a network. Now, every server that is connected to a network usually has an IP address. For example, I just told you now that to visit Facebook, there's actually an IP address you can use to look for that and share it later. But there used to be one I used at a point. I don't know why that is not working. But for every server on the network, there are IP addresses you can use to communicate with them. Now, we'll still come back to the issue of IP address, but let's first of all quickly talk about domain names while we are there. Now, I know I just told you guys that every server on the internet has an IP address, but the truth is, how many of us have ever used an IP address to visit a server before? When you were visiting Facebook, have you ever used an IP address to do, I mean, this is how an IP address looks like. How many of us have ever tried visiting Facebook and we type in 69.63.181.15? I mean, but the truth is, servers on the internet have IP addresses. So how is it possible that we type in something else in the browser and it still takes us to that server? Well, that is what we want to quickly look at when we talk about domain name. Now, a domain name is a human-friendly text form of an IP address like www.example.com. You see this thing we have here is actually a domain name. And this is what most of us are used to when you visit the internet. You go to the internet, you go to www.facebook.com. You don't even know if the IP address exists or anything. Basically, under the hood, there's actually something working under the hood we call a domain name system. What that will do is we take this user-friendly domain or this user-friendly text you give it and convert it to the respective IP address and then look for that server. But like I said, I don't want to bore us with the details, but just know that these terms are very common in the web world. When we talk about a domain name, it is a user-friendly text, okay? It is a user-friendly form of a IP address. And what is an IP address? It's just a numeric label that is assigned to every server or every computer on a network. And this network could be a local network. It could be a global network, in this case, the internet. Now, let's look at a common term in web. You hear things like hosting. You hosted your site. Have you done this to your site? Or you hear somebody say anything relating to hosting. Basically, the term hosting in relation to the web, okay, it involves storing and serving websites on a server, okay? Storing and serving websites on a server, making it accessible to users over the internet. So sometimes for those of you that are web developers, right, you are done developing your website. If it's on your local PC, nobody will be able to access it. You can make it available in different ways. You can either make your PC available on the web so that everybody has access to it, or you can host that your website on the web, on the internet, and make it available to everyone. So when you hear the term hosting, it's basically referring to making a website available on the web so people can access it. And then we have terms like SEO again, search engine optimization, okay, SEO. This is actually a very important term that a lot of companies take very seriously, okay? This basically deals with making your website, optimizing your website, and making it available on the internet, and also improving the visibility. It is one thing to host your website and for it to be available. It's another thing for you to optimize it and improve its visibility on the internet. There are how many of us have tried this before, right? Any of you that are in a noisy place can unmute your mic. I want this to be interactive, okay? How many of us have tried this before? You forgot the name of you forgot the URL of a website, or in this case, the domain of a website. When I mean domain, we already know what domain is. Something like this, www.thewebsite.com. How many of us have done this before? You forgot the domain of a website, then you just type in the name of the company on the website, and boom, Google will give you the link to the company website. How many of us have done that before? Maybe you forget, let me come back again. You forget the URL of a website, right? And then instead of you typing www.thewebsite.com, because you've forgotten it, you just type, for example, now if you go to Google and you just type in maybe Microsoft, Google will give you a link to Microsoft's site. That is part of what we call search engine optimization. because Microsoft site is optimized for search engine, it becomes very easy for you to see it on search engines. Okay, it becomes very easy for you to see it. And that is why having a website is one thing, but making it available and optimized so that search engines can see it is another big deal. In fact, there are people we call search engine optimization experts. This is their job. That is what they do. But then as a web developer or an internet person, there are some basic tricks you can learn about search engine to make your website show up more. In fact, because this class is actually going to be very short, or this meeting is actually going to be very short, forgive me, I use class a lot because I teach a lot, so I use the term class a lot. But because this meeting is actually going to be very short, we won't have time to go into a lot of those tips and tricks for you to improve your search engine. There are a lot we want to actually talk about, but search engine optimization is very important, and it involves you making your website visible and easily accessible to your users. Sometimes your users will forget your URL, but is your website optimized that if they go to a search engine like Google or Microsoft Bing or Brave or Doc.go, they search your company name, will they see your website? Or they will have to be calling you. How far that website will you give me? I don't know I'm again. Can you grab what I'm saying? So your website should be very optimized. And that is one thing I do. Any website I work on, I make sure at least if somebody goes to Google and search for the name of the product, they would see the link to that website. That is what search engine optimization deals with. Then we have what we call cookies. Cookies. I'm going to quickly brush through this other one because there's a very important topic I want us to talk about, which is security on the web. Okay, it's something I want some of us to take home. But let's talk about cookies. Basically, when you visit a website, right, sometimes some of these websites will store what we refer to as cookie in your browser. Okay, a cookie is just a very small piece of data that is stored on your web browser. Now, sometimes most websites use these cookies to track things that they feel you are interested in. For example, if you visit a website now, some websites used to have what we call light and dark mode, right? Some of us might have seen it. You visit a website, they allow you to toggle between light and dark mode. Well, what the developers can do is they can use a cookie to track your choice. So if you selected dark mode now, they'll use a cookie to track your choice so that next time when you visit the site and immediately the site opens, they will not open it in light mode for you again. They will open it in dark mode because the last time you were there, you told them, I prefer it in this mode. How were they able to track it? Well, there is something they store on your device called a cookie, and they use it to track you. Now, a cookie can be used to track anything, not just light and dark mode preference. It could be used to track maybe where you are visiting from, the country you are visiting from. Maybe when you visited a page now, you visit a site that is selling, maybe you visit an e-commerce site and you spent half of your time browsing through laptops. A cookie can store that preference that whenever you visit them, it seems you like laptop. And that's why sometimes you see when you visit some sites, they will show you more of those products you used to see. That's because there is a cookie on your system. They actually used to track your preference. And because of that now, it becomes easy. How many of us have done this before? You visit Jumia today to search for a laptop. And then when you go to Facebook or any app that is showing adverts for you, they'll start showing you laptops everywhere. Well, that is the job of a cookie. A cookie has been stored on your device. Cookie these days is not just on web browsers alone. Sometimes even your Android, iPhones, and co. Although we don't refer to them as cookie anymore, it is only in the context of a web browser we refer to them as cookies. Okay? So a cookie is just a small piece of data that is stored on your web browser to store some little data about you so that the website can know how to offer you better services. All right, let's go on and talk about frameworks. I'm actually going to be rushing through this because security is very important. And because of time, I want us to talk about security. So let's talk about framework. Now, a framework is basically a pre-built or reusable set of code okay, and two, that provides a foundation for developing applications. I know the English is a bit too big, right? But basically, now, as a developer or a tech person, a lot of times when you have to start everything from scratch, it can be very time consuming and very stressful. Okay, very, very, very stressful. That what you can use is what we call a framework, which is already something that has been pre-built. It has been built to help you jumpstart your development or whatever you plan on doing. Okay, so for those of us that uses Python, Django is a very popular framework for Python. For those of us in the web industry, I'm talking about front-end web now, you hear of the likes of React, Angular, Vue, Swift, and so on and so forth. They are all framework. For C# developers, you hear something like .NET or ASP.NET Core, and so on and so forth. Basically, a framework is something, a tool that has been built to help you jumpstart development, okay? Don't forget, we are treating common terms in the web, okay? When you're in the web space, some common terms that you might hear. Now, I think these are the last one before we quickly go to security on the web. So responsive design, I'll be very fast about this. Now, how many of you have ever visited a website before on your laptop, and then you visited the same website on your phone, and you have to be zooming in as if you are looking for something on the floor? Those kind of websites, those are the kind of websites we refer to as not being mobile friendly. Okay, it is not mobile friendly. A mobile friendly website will look good on a desktop, on a big screen, and still look good on a small screen. Responsive design is actually a very important part of the web. Okay, we need to be able to visit websites that are user friendly. I don't have to be zooming in. If I have to zoom in on your website, imagine my grandfather, what does he have to do on your website? It will personally, even I don't even wait for my grandfather. Personally, myself, there are websites I visit now. The moment I see the way it looks, I'm out of the website. I won't even, no matter what I am looking for, unless maybe it is very important. If it is not that important and I know that I can find it somewhere else, I'll leave your website. Okay, so responsive design or responsive development deals with just having websites that are user friendly on the web, on big screens and on small screens. Again, we have firewall. Well, basically, it's just a security measure, okay, that we use to monitor and control incoming and outgoing network traffic, okay, based on some rules. So a firewall is basically just a monitor we put in place. We'll give it some rules and regulation, and we'll tell it to monitor outgoing and incoming traffic to a server. If any of those traffic break these rules, please block them. Okay, that is what firewalls does. Then lastly, although there are a lot of these technologies, we can't go over everything. If we want to go over everything, we'll probably not live here today. Okay. Now, lastly, let's talk about APIs, application programming interface, APIs. Some of us might have heard of this before, but basically API is just a set of rules that allows one software interact with another software. To break this down, API is a technology that allows one software talk to another software. Now, this is a very important part of web these days. Either you're a web developer, you're a data scientist, you are a data analyst, as long as you do anything, you have anything to do with the web and you are communicating in the web, a lot of the implementations you are going to be using will be using what we call an API. And it's actually very simple. It's just a technology, okay, that allows one software talk with another software. I'll quickly go through why we need them. Okay, now the need for APIs is this. Now imagine me as a developer now, right? I run a company that deals with weather forecasts. So I have equipment that we use to measure the weather so that when we are giving news in the evening, we can give accurate figures. Right? Now, I'm not a web developer, but I have this equipment to measure weather. Now, let's say you, on your part now, you're a web developer and you want to build a website to be showing latest weather reports to your users. Now, as a web developer, you don't have the tools to be measuring weather. In fact, you can't be walking around measuring weather. You go lost. Okay, you will be frustrated. Now, one thing you need to know is, as a company that gives weather reports, I might have been around for more than 100 years. And you just learned web development last year. And how do you gather data for this your weather website? Well, what you can do is, me as the company that have this record, I can expose an API to you. I can build a software that will allow you talk to my own software, and then you will get those weather data that you need, and then you display it on your website. But in order to do that, we will do it through what we call an API, application programming interface. So my own software will expose an interface for your own software to talk to it and fetch those data and display on your site, because I'm not going to give you access to my database. If I give you access to my database, you can do anything you like with it. So instead of giving you access to my database, I will expose an API for you. Your own software will talk to that API, or my own software via API, and then displays what you need. Now, there is a lot on APIs we can talk about, but if you want to, you can register for one of our classes. Believe me, our classes are always very, very long, and we can talk more. Now, let me just quickly talk on the last thing before I hand over back to Chisom, please. All right, security on the web. If there is nothing you're taking home from this today, because a lot of things we have talked about, you have to actually practicalize them to get them to stick to you. But this aspect of security, I actually included this there because there are a lot of things I hear and I laugh. Somebody will come to you and say, somebody had my Facebook account, somebody did this. A lot of times it's always due to one little negligence on your part that help the person. I mean, nobody will wake up one day and just hack your Facebook account without a little contribution from you. In fact, a big contribution, let me don't call it little, a very big contribution. But now you, they help them hack you. Let me put it that way, okay? You are the one helping them to actually do a lot of those things. So security on the web. I'm actually going to be starting out with HTTPS, okay? Now, I know we might not have mentioned HTTP before, but it's actually a protocol, okay? It's actually an internet protocol that ensures secure communication, okay, by encrypting data as data exchange between the client and the server. You know, we've actually talked about how your web browser makes a request to a server, right? And the server returns a response back to you. Well, in order for this to be done securely, the protocol we make use of is referred to as HTTP. Now, there are actually two. There's one referred to as HTTP, and there's one referred to as HTTPS. Now, HTTP is not secured. HTTPS is secured, and that's why you will see it in the name, Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. The other one is HTTP, which is just Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now, the tip I will give you is this. When you are on the web, okay, and any website is asking you for maybe your username and password or your credit card detail, and it is not HTTPS, please don't input your data into that website, okay? If it's not an HTTPS powered website, don't input your data into the website. Although there are some in-house websites that are not HTTPS powered. For example, most of our schools, okay, since all of us here are Nigerians, most of our schools, sometimes their internal websites are not HTTPS powered. So if it is a website you trust, no problem. But if it is a website you don't trust, please don't enter your details into them. Believe me, you are going to be in for a long ride, okay? Then, that being said, if irrespective of it being a website you trust or you don't trust, you see your credit card details, don't enter it into a website that is not secured. How do you know a website is secured? Now, if you look at my browser right now, okay, for those of you that can see my screen, if you see my mouse moving and I click on this icon at the top of my browser, you will notice something as part of what pops up just close to the URL. You see, I get a pop-up. And what does the pop-up say? The first thing on the pop-up says what? Can anybody see it? Hello, guys. Are we together?
Yes, we can.
You see, the first thing it says is that the connection is secure, which means I trust this website now. But if you click on it and it is not a secured site, you will see it will tell you the connection is not secured. Okay, that is very important. When you see a website that is not secured, you see your credit card details, please don't include them. The reason is that HTTPS helps you to encrypt your data before sending it to the server. But if it is not a secured site, your data would still be encrypted, but the encryption can easily be decrypted. That is just the basis. That is just the basis of what I'm trying to say here. Okay. Now, let's look at some security best practices you should always follow when you are using the web. Okay, these are very important. Number one is use strong and unique passwords. Some of us, the same password for your laptop, for your Facebook, for your Twitter, for this, all your accounts uses the same password. In fact, I've seen somebody that their ATM PIN is the same password for all their accounts. Well, if you're one of those people, I'd like to tell you well done and congratulations. You've actually made it easy for anybody that has access to your Facebook to easily have access to everything concerning you. Okay, please use strong and unique password. I know sometimes it's difficult for you to understand or remember the password across multiple devices, but at least have about 2 to 3 passwords and share them around. Don't have one password across all devices. Okay, your laptop and your phone password is 2020. Is the same password. You now go to Facebook because Facebook does not allow 4 characters. You now do 20, 20, 20, 20. You now make it 8. And then you go to Twitter too, because Twitter doesn't allow 4 password. You do the same thing. See, the thing is, it's actually very easy for people to guess your password. Let's actually try it out. Now, some of us, you try registering for a website, right? And they tell you your password is not strong enough. Please use a strong password. Then you start using your name. And then your name does not go. They say you should add a number to it. Some of us, we by default add our date of birth, Abby. Am I hitting the nail there? Some of us will use our date of birth. So after our name, we put our date of birth. Funny thing is this, it is very easy for people to get it. Then some sites now will tell you, please use one uppercase character. Do you know what some of us will do? We'll capitalize the first letter of our name. Abby? And you think you have a strong password. Okay, now these things are very easy for people to guess. So try to use strong and unique password. You can use special characters in your password, okay, to make them stronger. Okay, don't make it easy for people to access. Once they have your PIN for your phone, they have access to everything. And very importantly, your phone PIN should not be the same thing as your ATM PIN. Me, I'm begging you on this. Very important, okay? You need to be very crafty, because people that are trying to get access to your things are. All right, let's quickly look at the next point. Keeping your software and system updated. Okay, if you are using a phone that has regular updates, try to always update it. If you are using Windows, try to always update it. Sometimes Windows, Apple, and some of these vendors, they release updates not because they are jobless. I know some people that will turn off their window update for years. And they will say it used to consume data, so they turn it off. They don't want it to update. It is very good. You are saving your own data, but you are at risk of data being stolen. Okay? So constant updates from Windows, Microsoft, Apple, Android, and the producers of your gadget are to patch security issues. So when you don't constantly update, you are at risk of, okay, being hacked or something like that. The next one, implementing additional security measures like 2-factor authentication. Some platforms now, there are some of us, your Facebook, Twitter, and some of these platforms has been singing 2-factor authentication to your ear since. Some of us never do one. Sometimes you log into Facebook and they will push 2-factor authentication to you. You will close that dialogue. You go to Twitter, they will tell you enable 2-factor authentication. You will close it. Now, let me tell you how two-factor authentication works and how it can help you, right? Now, your password and your email is your first means of authentication. Now, if somebody, for some reasons, have access to it, and they try to log into your account from another device, if you have two-factor authentication set up, that new device now will ask them for a code, which will only be sent to your email or your phone number. Now, if they cannot provide that code, they can't access your account because the code will be sent to your own email and your phone number. And that is why you see some people, some trick that some of these scammers uses, after they try to access your account and then they jump two-factor authentication, they will call you and frame up a lie that they were trying to do something, a code was sent to your email or your phone that you should call it for them. And of course, some people that are not too exposed to will still call it. Somebody was trying to access your data. The Microsoft or Google stopped them and stopped them from accessing your data. And then they now called you and you gave them the password to now access again. Okay? See, there is no way anybody anywhere will be doing something and a code will be sent to the wrong person. Keep that in mind. So nobody should call you and tell you a code was mistakenly sent to your phone. You should call it for them. Immediately they do that, just know that they are trying to access your data. And that is why two-factor authentication is good. So I'm pleading to all of us attending this. If you don't have two-factor authentication on most of your accounts, if the account supports it, go and set it up, unless if it doesn't support. But if it supports it, go and set it up. I don't want to hear they hack your Facebook account because they know your username and password. Again, the last step now, the next step says protecting and hiding your password from third parties. Some people, you go to ATM queue, you want to enter your PIN. Somebody would rightly be standing close to you with their eyes wide open, and you two are typing your PIN. And they will tell you there is no space. See, personally, I've come to discover that if you don't practice something, people will not respect it. I cannot be close to an ATM now. You come and stand beside me. Even if it's 1,000 naira I have in my account, you are not standing beside me. Because I might have 1,000 naira today, tomorrow I have 5M. You know, God is a miracle God. What the trick, the main point here is this. All this, your details, your password, your PIN, they are private, and you should not share it with third parties. Now, ATM own is one. Another thing some of us fall victim of is you log into your Facebook, your Twitter, or any of your accounts on somebody else's phone. Maybe you needed to do something quickly. You log into it on somebody else's phone, and then you forget to log out. And you know, some of these phones, when you log in, they keep your section for sometimes a week, a month. So when the person gets home, they have access to it. Now, this is the problem with security on the web. It might be that that person you log into their phone, you trust them, nothing will happen. But here is the thing. They also have friends who will one day carry their phone. So you might log into my phone now. I mean, being a good person, of course, I'm a good person. I do not try to hack your Facebook because even if I hack it, what is there? Right? So I do not try to hack your Facebook. But then, let's say I have a friend that also uses my phone. The guy will just collect the phone one day, see the account, and boom, he has access to it already. And that is why personally, I would advise, don't even try logging in to somebody else's, to any of your accounts on somebody else's device, unless it is urgent. And if you do, please log out. Very important. Okay, keeping your password safe from third party is very important. Now, the last point before I will call it a day here is always validate and confirm a website's originality before entering your credentials like password and credit card info. How many of you have they sent you a link before? They will say somebody is giving out a bonus, Nigeria federal government, so and so is giving out a bonus. Click on this link to claim yours. And then you click on the link and it's asking you to log into Facebook. How many of us have clicked on links like that? I used to have a link like that. I can't find it. Somebody actually sent that to me last week, right? No, I think it was during Valentine, right? He said, was it one politician is giving out Valentine presents? click on this link to claim yours. You click on the link, and then the link is asking you to log into your Facebook account. It will give you something that looks like a Facebook login. That's what we call siphoning. What these people do is they will build a website that looks like Facebook. It is not Facebook. How do you know? If you go and look at the URL of the site, you will see it's never www.facebook.com. It will always be one jargon's name because facebook.com is already taken. It's a domain that has been bought by Facebook. Nobody else can use it. So it will always be another domain. And again, another easy way to catch them is sometimes you will click on the link on Facebook. It will still ask you to log in. How will you be on Facebook? Click on the link and the link is still telling you to log in with your Facebook details again. So all of these are very, very, very important. So sometimes when you click on this link, don't just proceed to enter your detail. Verify, try to confirm, validate the site. Look at the URL. This does not look like Facebook URL. Again, look, if you want to be very sure, sometimes you will see a lot of the links on the web page are not clickable. If you scroll to the web page and you try to click on a lot of the links, you see they don't work. Sometimes there was one I saw, that same one I saw last week. After he told me the vow gift, the deadline is tomorrow, click here to get it. I clicked on it. It took me to a page asking me for login. And then when I scrolled down, I started seeing some things that look like Facebook comments, right? This one was saying, it actually worked. I got my own today. Another person was saying, wow, I can't believe it. Oh boy. And so on and so forth. You see a lot of fake comments. Now, how did I know this? This is another point I knew this was fake. Have you ever visited a Facebook login page and it's showing you people's comments? You only see a comment under a post. Login page is not a post. So why will people comments be under a login page? Well, why it is there is simple. These people want to use it to cajole you to enter your Facebook details there. Let me tell you what happens. The moment you enter your Facebook username and password and you click on login, you will just see that the site will refresh, nothing will happen. But to you, you think nothing happens. What that actually does is it takes your username and password and sends it to their database. So them now, they can visit the real Facebook account, enter that username and password you have given to them, and boom, they have access to your account. And if God wants to butter your bread, you don't have two-factor authentication set up. Everything is just smooth for them. They get access to it and boom, they are in there. They are using your account. First thing they will do is change your email, change your phone number, and then you will now say, I even enter my phone number to recover it is not working. Well, the real owners have collected it. Okay, so please and please and please, security on the web is very, 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 very important. In fact, this is actually a topic that should be a topic on its own because there are more and more things we can discuss, ways to prevent a lot of these things. And I've just tried to summarize it for you. It is very important to keep your details safe. Don't say somebody because somebody is your, no, I know there are some families, based on family, they share their PIN round. Okay, so everybody knows the father's PIN, knows the mother's PIN, and so on and so forth. I understand that. But there are some places or some people you should keep your data or mostly your passwords, your PIN, your security tokens and code from. You should not expose it to them. All right, I'll be joining the curtains here today. Thank you guys so much. If you have any question, they've said you should drop it on the chat section, but I'm not seeing any question there. Well, I'm happy. It means I don't have to talk too much today. All right, thank you guys so much. And that's where I'll be ending that from my side. Over to Chisom, please.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm not a beginner, but sure, I did learn a lot from this. And like I always say, there is no way you can come for any training or for any meeting and you don't get to learn one thing or the other, no matter the level of your expertise. So I learned a lot from this. Thank you so much. So guys, if you learned anything from this and you are grateful, you can show with your reactions or you can put it up in the chat box. Let's appreciate our speaker for making our time to do this. Actually very, very excited we're able to do this. And then, like, for me, the highlight really the security of the web, because the truth is, Elijah, I can see that, because the truth is that a lot of us have fallen victim of this, and we still on a daily we do that. Yes, I know. I still have a schedule that will have a session for security of the web and cyber security as a whole, so that we get to learn the little ways we can be able to secure our accounts and ourselves, and then we can be able to also educate our families as well. So you can't be in tech and you not know about security. Like, it works hand in hand, especially now that we have a lot of people, these scammers coming up and the rest of it. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Samuel. I can see your reactions and your comments as well. So thank you, Mr. Victor Stephen, for taking our time. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Mr. Stephen, for taking our time to do this with us, and I really appreciate. And okay, for some of us were not able to join in. I'll try to get a feedback on why they were not able to do so. So this meeting was recorded and it will be made available to us. If I don't know if all of us is in our Slack channel, and if we have your emails with us, then it will be easier for us to do that, like send you the recording, a link to the recording, so that you can like listen to it over and over again and all that. So thank you for coming. Elijah, I see the comments. Yes, it was really an impactful section. Yes. So if you check the chat box, I actually shared our social media handles, so you can go ahead and like follow us. Mr. Stephen, please, some of them might want to connect with you outside this space. So if you could share your social media handles, the ones you would like them to connect to you with, so that if maybe they have questions after this and the rest of it, or they want to like connect with you ahead, please kindly drop a link to your social media handles so that they can follow you and they can reach out to you. And please, if you are reaching out to him and you are chatting him up, don't go and drop hello and you go and rest. That's not a professional way of reaching out to anyone. So you could say, hello, my name is this, and I attended the webinar, Vinicom webinar, held on understanding the web. Definitely he would attend to your messages faster than when you drop hi and you just rest. So let's keep it professional and let's know what we want as well. So you connect, once he drops the link, kindly connect with him. So if you are not yet on our Slack community, we have a tech community that we are building. So I already sent the link. Quickly go to the chat box and just scroll through or catch up on the messages I sent. So just go through the links and follow us on our social media platforms. You see the ones for Vinicom, for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, if you do Facebook actually, and the rest of it. So for Vinit Pay, yes, Mr. Steven has dropped his Twitter handle, so you can go follow him there and then reach out to him if you have any more questions or concerns. Yes, so and our Vinit Pay, I told you about a product we are launching very soon. So I shared the social media handle, especially that of Twitter and Instagram. We are going to activate other social media handles as platforms as well. So if I do that, if we do that, then we can share it. So okay, so as I was saying, please kindly check if you are not yet on our Slack community, please go to the link I sent earlier and join the Slack community. And please, if you are there, please be active. Please be active. If you are on a Slack community, I noticed some of the persons said they were having issues joining the meeting earlier. If you're a tech person, you have to start getting used to using Slack, because definitely you are looking at finishing up working with a company anywhere. Most companies make use of Slack as their major means of communication. So this is your way of actually starting out and like familiarizing yourself with this, so that when it's time for you to work, it won't be like so difficult for you. So if you are not active on our platform, please do so. We have different channels that will help you to like interact and meet other persons. We have to introduce yourself, say what you are doing, like introduce, my name is this, I'm from this, like look at what I'm learning or look at what I'm working on. So we also have like share what you're working on. If you are building anything and you want some people from other tracks to actually like join your team or anything, that is the best place to put it out. Hey, I'm working on this app that helps you to detect when NEPA is about to bring light. Like now I don't have light. So you're working on an app that helps people to detect when they want to bring light. You can be like, I'm a backend developer, I need like a front-end person and a data scientist or anybody that wants to jump on a project and like improve on their skill. You put it out there, kindly chat me up or reach out. Then anyone that is interested can actually reach out to you. So because it's also like a learning platform for them, like it's a way they can also learn. So you use that to introduce yourself, or you wrote an article, you want people to check it out, give you reviews and all that, you drop it there. When you see other people's comments and posts, please try to, if it's the least you could do is actually leave a reaction. You must not comment, but if you can, please comment. So leave a reaction, interact with the posts that are sent out. Then we have the Thank God It's Friday. So we need to like ease off as techies as well. So we do post on the channel some Fridays to be able to ease off, like on low key terms. So we don't always have to be serious all the time. Yeah. So please, if you are joining turn on the notification once you join the Slack community so that you can be able to get all this. Thank you so much for making our time to be here. I really appreciate you coming. So like I said earlier, I will be sharing the recording so that you can also catch up. Yeah, thank you so much. I remain Chisom Catherine Dick, and it's an honor moderating and hosting you on this platform. Feel free to reach out to me on the Slack community if you have any questions and need clarification. Thank you so much, Mr. Stephen, for making our time to be here. We really appreciate your time and the wealth of knowledge that you shared with us. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you guys.
Yes.